Hello, YouTube. My name is Transient Lion, and I have a bone to pick with how they handled um, the Quincy stealing of the Bankai being dealt with in the manga. So, as a quick little recap, um, how they actually handled it was having Urahara like study Kyuuge's medallion and using that to concoct a method to hollowfy the captain's Bankais so that the Quincy's no longer were capable of stealing them without poisoning themselves. Um, and I think that is a little bit lame. It's a bit of a lame move on Kupo's part because this mechanic, while absolutely broken, could have been dealt with in a lot of ways. So while yes, it is absolutely overpowered as hell for a Quincy to be capable of stealing a Bankai from a Soul Reaper, how I would have them handle it is, well, all right. I would expound on weaknesses that already exist with the medallions because there's already plenty of limitations, right? Uh, First of all, they need to use the medallion to do it. Second of all, the Quincy needs to be like sufficiently powerful in order to like control the Bankai in general. Three, they need the opposing Soul Reaper needs to use their Bankai. And then there's a fourth weakness I would add that pretty much is already implied. Um, so this weakness would be that they can only steal one Bankai at a time. One medallion, one Bankai. Oh yeah, there's also the fact that they can't steal from Quincy's, which is why they can't steal Ichigo's Bankai. But like, that's not really relevant. So going back to my idea, the idea that each Sternritter can only steal one Bankai from one Soul Reaper could add so much strategy and complexity to how this war works. So, for instance, as an example, let's think about how Mayuri would potentially be able to think about this and let everybody else know. Like, okay, they can only steal one Bankai with their medallions. So naturally, this means that anybody who has their Bankai stolen could then pair up with another character that also has a Bankai, so that the other character can use their Bankai against the stolen Bankai to fight back against the Sternritter that stole it. Um, Alternatively, you could have some kind of like stealth operation that Soifon would have, since she runs the stealth force. Not that you know she fights people directly way too often, but like there could be like this operation where she would like steal a medallion that has a Bankai absorbed into it, and actually she would kind of be perfect for that job since she already has her Bankai stolen. Meaning a quick get in get out operation would probably be pretty good for that. Um, but yeah, just like also this adds to the strategy on the on the Sternritter side, as they can also like pair up the Sternritters who have stolen Bankais with ones that haven't. We can also have in character stuff like with Pepe, where he would naturally not want to steal a Bankai due to how his power works. But like if a character who has stolen a Bankai pairs up with one that hasn't, and the Soul Reapers try to pair up a character who has his Bankai stolen with one that hasn't, this naturally means that like the Stormritter would also still have the advantage because they could also steal that same Bankai from the character who hasn't had theirs stolen yet. But also, like, there's so much complexity that you could do with this, and instead we got the simply no, we don't actually have them stolen anymore approach, and it's just like I get that Kubo wanted to focus on other aspects of the action, but also this does mean that like Stormritters that we didn't get to see use the Bankai they stole as much could use them. Like Bambietta never used the Bankai she stole from Komamura. I wanted to see her use Kokujo Tengen Myo at least once, and she just never did. And also like Osnote, he only used Senbon Sakura once when he first stole it, and like it would have been really cool if A, that killed Byakuya, and B, Rukia actually had to fight against Senbon Sakura Kageyoshi in order to avenge her dead brother. Like, that all would have been some really cool shit, but we didn't get any of that because Kubo wanted to just undo the Bankai being stolen. He wanted to show off the Quincy Volstandigs, and he wanted to show off the scripts a bit more. But I feel like we could have also had some really cool uses of like Bankai stealing mechanics, where one character like uses their script in conjunction with the Bankai they stole. We never got to see that, and it would have been fucking cool. But on top of that, this naturally brings up the idea that the Bankai being stolen is permanent, since there's no holification of the Bankai causing them to go back to their original masters. How I would handle this is having a process involving Urahara, Mayuri, or both, where they study how to reverse engineer the technique behind it. And like naturally this takes a long time, right? So the Quincy Bankai stealing still has consequences. But it's not so permanent that like everybody's favorite Bankai gets just permanently removed, right? I think it would have been very cool to do that. And I think that the second invasion would have been a lot more interesting if that happened. But I either what I said earlier is true, or otherwise, Kubo just thought of a thing that the villains could do and couldn't think of a way for them to naturally deal with it. And so he just had it undone rather than try to work with it. But like, I feel like you could have. And the second invasion would have been a lot more interesting because of that. But yeah, that's all I had to say. Instead of repeating myself over and over again, I just wanted to do that. So if you liked this idea, please engage with it in the comments. I would love to see what you guys have to think. Anyway, that's all for now. Have a nice day.